Ashfoot's Story, Chapter 3. Ash awoke on a cold, slick surface under her. She staggered to her paws, but found herself falling back down, flat on her face. She felt a huge weight on her shoulders, and her tail felt strange. She struggled to look behind her and caught a glimpse of feathers protruding from her shoulders. She was shocked to realize that they were wings. The wings were giant, blocking out everything visible behind them, and they were weighing her front half down. Ash looked back in front of her and saw two hunters watching her through some sort of clear substance. They carried rectangular things with them and glanced down at them often, clawing at the rectangles with long, thin black things. Ash tried to scrabble across the cold, smooth metal, but the wings were too heavy. Suddenly a metal claw came from the ceiling and lifted her up, shutting around her waist and flying away with her. She tried to claw at it, but was unable to with her wings in the way. The huge thing dropped her on a table, and the hunters quickly ran at her. Before she could react, a huge piece of hide was thrust over her mouth, and cold chains were tied around her legs and back. She was stuck on the table. She thrashed, but the chains left her with little movement. Even her new wings were held down, and she couldn't try to bite them because of the leather on her mouth. She tried to scream as a sharp object cut into her waist, but she couldn't do that either. She felt cold metal on her body, as though the hunters were opening a huge hole in her leg, and perhaps they were, but right now all Ash felt was pain. So much pain. She couldn't escape it. She just wanted it to stop. Needed it to stop. Needed to sleep, but couldn't because of how much it hurt. Ash felt a pressure on her hip bone as something cold was placed inside of her wound. Or at least that's what she thought was happening. She couldn't even move her head, it hurt so bad. She felt a small needle piercing all the way around her wound, and then her skin was pulled tight and the chains around her loosened, allowing a hunter to flip her over and cut open her other leg. She could do nothing but lay there as they did the same to her other leg, and as the middle arm picked her up and took her back to her cage she had woken up in, she felt more balance in her body. Although, of course, her legs were on fire, and there were hunter things stuffed around it, little black strings that seemed to be holding the wound closed. She stood up, something that she was surprised she was able to do, and tried taking a step forwards. She wobbled a lot, but managed to keep herself upright. She was able to walk. Whatever had been put in her waist had countered the weight of her wings. But right now, Ash just felt tired, so tired. Maybe if she slept, the pain would go away. She hoped it did, because right now she could hardly bear to not claw her pelt off. She lay down, or rather tried to, and then collapsed on the cold metal, but she didn't even care anymore. Ash closed her eyes, trying to sleep despite the pain, and eventually she was able to drift away into a more peaceful sleep. One where she could dream about being with Mint, her mom, or her dad, trying to forget any of this was happening. She hoped that when she awoke, she would find that this was all just some terrifying nightmare. But deep down, she knew that was just wishful thinking.